I met Zach when I was 22. He said I was different. Real. Not like the other girls he dated. I wore thrifted clothes, packed my lunches in Tupperware, worked 2 jobs just to keep my head above water. He said I grounded him. Said I was exactly what he needed. And God, I believed him. I believed every word. He was charming. He was sweet. He made me feel like I was the only person in the world who mattered. We moved in together after 6 months. Too fast, probably. But I was in love. I thought he was too. I thought we were building something together. A life. A future. But he quit his job 3 months after we signed the lease. Said he needed to focus on his business. And I didn't realize what it would cost me. I paid the rent. Every month. I paid his share of the groceries. I covered the electric bill, the internet, the water. I worked overtime while he sat at coffee shops, talking about his brand. He was building a consulting business. At least, that's what he called it. I never saw any clients. Never saw any money coming in. But I thought it was temporary. I thought he'd get on his feet and return the favor. I thought love meant supporting each other through the hard times. So I kept paying, kept working, kept believing. And then one day, he thanked me. With a gift. A handwritten list of what I needed to change about myself. My hair. My clothes. My energy. I stared at that list for an hour. And I didn't say a word. It wasn't physical. The first real slap, I mean. It was worse. He told me I didn't look the part for his new brand. Said potential clients needed to see him with someone more polished. He suggested I wear makeup. That I should dress better. That I was too safe and predictable. He said it like he was giving me advice. Like he was helping me. But his words cut deeper than any fist ever could. I felt ugly. I felt worthless. I started avoiding mirrors. I cried in the shower that night. Quiet tears so he wouldn't hear. When I came out, he was gone. Just a text, out with a potential client. But I knew. Even then I knew. He was out with her. Her name was Tara. She was his new business partner. Tall, sleek, everything about her looked expensive. Fake lashes. Fake nails. Fake smile. He started bringing her up in conversations. Casual at first. Then more often. He'd compare us. Little comments. She was ambitious. She was bold. I was too boring. Too basic. Too comfortable. He never said it directly. But I heard it. Every single time. And then I found the receipt. It was in his jacket pocket. I wasn't snooping. I was doing laundry. 2 wine glasses. 1 hotel room. Downtown. The same night he said he was at a networking event. I put the receipt back. I didn't confront him. I just stood there, holding his jacket, feeling my world crack open. The goodbye came 2 weeks later. We were eating dinner. Takeout. I'd paid for it. He looked at me across the table and said, I need someone who pushes me. A real woman. You're just comfortable. That word. Comfortable. Like I was an old couch. Something familiar but forgettable. He said he was moving out. That weekend. He packed his stuff. Took the dog we'd adopted together. Left me with the bills. All of them. The lease was in my name. The utilities. Everything. He walked out like I was nothing. Like the 2 years we'd spent together meant nothing. 2 weeks later, they went Instagram official. Matching outfits. Beach sunset. Caption. Finally found my match. I deleted the app. But not before I saw it. And not before it destroyed me. I stopped eating. Food tasted like nothing. I cried at work. In the bathroom. In my car. I was late to meetings. My presentations were sloppy. I lost a client because I sent the wrong proposal. My boss, Janet, called me into her office. I thought she was going to fire me. I almost wanted her to. But instead, she looked at me with kind eyes and said, "You're a mess right now. I get it. But you have potential. Real potential. Don't waste it on someone who already forgot you." Those words hit me like cold water. Someone who already forgot me. She was right. Zach had moved on. Posted about his new life. His new girl. And I was still drowning. That conversation changed something in me. Small, but real. I stopped posting on social media. No revenge texts. No subtweets. I just went silent. I focused on work. Only work. I said yes to every project. Every late night. Every weekend assignment. I stopped going out. Stopped talking to friends. I became a ghost. But a productive one. People started noticing. My presentations got sharper. My ideas got better. My clients started requesting me specifically. 6 months later, I got promoted. Not a big promotion. Just a step up. But it was the first time in years I smiled and actually meant it. I wasn't healed. Not even close. But I was moving. Forward. Away from him. And that felt like something. Like progress. Like hope. A year later, I had to work a corporate event. Big clients. Fancy venue. I was managing the floor, coordinating vendors, making sure everything ran smoothly. And then I saw them. Zach and Tara. They'd been invited by one of the sponsors. I froze. My stomach dropped. Tara walked right past me, looked me up and down, and laughed. She leaned over to someone and said, loud enough for me to hear, "Didn't know they let interns run the floor." I felt my face burn. But I didn't move. I didn't react. Zach just stared at me. His face was blank. Like I was a stranger. Like we'd never shared a bed. Never shared a life. It hurt. But I didn't flinch. I turned around. And I got back to work. That night, I gave the keynote. I hadn't planned to. But the original speaker canceled last minute, and Janet asked me to step in. I was terrified. My hands shook as I walked onto the stage. But when I started talking, something clicked. I talked about resilience. About rebuilding. About showing up even when you're broken. The room went silent. When I finished, people stood up. They clapped. My slide deck was shared by morning. My name was on every email. Clients wanted to work with me. With me. Not my boss. Not my team. Me. I thought that was it. My peace. My redemption. I thought I could finally move on. But the universe had more in store. Way more. 3 years later, I was sitting in my corner office. I had a view of the city. A team of 12 people. I was running strategy for a Fortune 500 account. My salary had tripled. I had respect. I had power. I had everything I'd worked for. And then I opened my email. There was a new application for the executive assistant position. I almost deleted it without reading. I had HR for that. But something made me click. And there it was. Her name. Tara. Applied to be my new executive assistant. I sat there, staring at the screen, my heart pounding. I read her resume. MBA. Years of startup experience. No mention of Zach. No mention of the business they'd supposedly built together. I didn't delete the email. I called HR. And I told them to schedule the interview. I spent the next 2 days thinking about it. What I'd say. How I'd act. Part of me wanted to reject her application immediately. To never see her face again. But another part of me, a bigger part, wanted to see what had happened. Wanted to understand how she'd gone from mocking me to applying to work for me. So I waited. I reviewed her resume again. It was polished. Professional. But it was also vague. Lots of buzzwords. Not much substance. She claimed to have managed operations for a consulting firm. But when I searched for the company, it barely existed. A website with no content. A LinkedIn page with 3 followers. It was clear. Whatever she and Zach had built, it had failed. And now she needed a job. A real one. From me. The interview was on a Thursday. I dressed carefully that morning. A black blazer. Heels. My hair pulled back. I looked like I belonged in that office. Because I did. She arrived 5 minutes late. I watched her walk through the glass doors from my desk. She didn't recognize me at first. My hair was longer now. I wore confidence like armor. I looked different. I was different. When she walked into the conference room and saw me sitting there, she stopped. Her eyes went wide. She blinked once. Twice. And then she said, very quietly, "Oh." I smiled. Not a warm smile. Just a professional one. I gestured to the chair across from me. "Shall we begin?" I asked. She sat down slowly. Her hands were shaking. I didn't sabotage her. I want to be clear about that. I asked real questions. Professional ones. I asked about her experience managing schedules, coordinating travel, handling confidential information. She stumbled through every answer. She had no idea what we actually did at my company. No clue about workflow systems. No understanding of client management. She was clearly desperate. I could see it in her eyes. She needed this job. Badly. When the interview ended, she thanked me. Her voice was small. After she left, HR called me. They asked if we should move forward. I paused. I thought about it. And then I said yes. I told them to hire her. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I wanted to see. I wanted to watch her try. And I wanted to see if she'd learn what real work actually felt like. Her first day was rough. She arrived 10 minutes late. No excuse. No apology. She forgot her notebook. Didn't know how to access the shared calendar system. I had to walk her through basic tasks. Things any assistant should know. She was frustrated. I could tell. But she didn't say anything. Not at first. I gave her a list of tasks. Simple stuff. Schedule 3 meetings. Confirm travel arrangements. Organize client files. By the end of the day, she'd completed 1. The rest were forgotten or done wrong. I didn't yell. I didn't embarrass her. I just corrected her. Calmly. Professionally. And then she walked into my office unannounced. She stopped when she saw the photo on my wall. Me and the CEO. Shaking hands at an award ceremony. Her face went pale. She turned around and walked out without saying a word. It happened on her 3rd day. She was organizing files in the conference room. I walked past, and I heard her muttering to another employee. "Must be nice," she said. "Sleeping your way up." The other employee looked uncomfortable. But I heard it. I stopped walking. I turned around. I walked into the conference room. The other employee left quickly. Tara looked up at me. I stood there. Calm. I kept my voice even. "No," I said. I worked my way up. Nights. Weekends. Years of proving myself. Something you'd know nothing about. She opened her mouth. Then closed it. She didn't speak to me for days after that. She avoided eye contact. She came in early and left late. Maybe she was trying to prove something. Or maybe she was just scared. Either way, I didn't care. I had work to do. And so did she. A week later, my phone buzzed. A text from a number I hadn't deleted. "Zach. Hey, saw you at that summit last month. You looked amazing." I stared at the message for a long time. 3 years of silence. And now this. I didn't respond. I just left him on read. I went back to work. But the text stayed in my head. Why now? Why after all this time? Did Tara tell him she was working for me? Did he care? I didn't know. And honestly, I didn't want to know. I'd spent 3 years building a life without him. A better life. I wasn't going to let a single text pull me back. So I deleted the conversation. Not out of anger. Just out of indifference. He didn't matter anymore. And that felt powerful. Tara started slipping. Small mistakes at first. She missed a client email. Forgot to confirm a meeting. Sent the wrong document to a vendor. I corrected her each time. Patiently. Professionally. But the mistakes kept coming. And then she made a big one. She forgot to forward an urgent email from our biggest client. They needed approval on a contract. By end of day, she never sent it. The client called me directly. Furious. We almost lost the account. I had to personally apologize and expedite the approval. After I handled it, I pulled the audit logs. Every email. Every action. Her name was all over the mistakes. Not just that day. Every day. She wasn't overwhelmed. She was careless. And careless doesn't work in this business. I forwarded the logs to HR. They scheduled a meeting with her the next morning. HR put her on probation. 3 warnings in 2 weeks. One more mistake, and she was out. She cried in the break room after the meeting. I heard about it from another employee. She told people I'd set her up. That I'd given her impossible tasks. That I was sabotaging her because of personal history. When HR asked me about it, I showed them the task lists. The training documents. The email threads. Everything was standard. Everything was fair. She just wasn't doing the work. HR agreed. They told her she needed to improve. Fast. The next day, she walked past my office. She didn't look at me, but I heard her mutter under her breath. This is bullshit. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The work spoke for itself. And so did her performance. Or lack of it. Then he showed up. Zach. Unannounced. At my office. The receptionist called me confused. She said there was someone here to see me. No appointment. I told her to send him up. I wanted to see what he wanted. He walked into my office like he still belonged in my life. He looked older. Tired. He said he was worried about Tara. Said she was struggling. Said she told him I was treating her unfairly. I leaned back in my chair. I looked at him for a long moment. And then I asked, "Were you ever worried when I was the one drowning?" He didn't answer. He just looked at the floor. "I didn't come here to fight," he said. I stood up. "Then don't." She applied for this job. She chose to work here. And she's failing. That's not on me. That's on her. He left without another word. But he came back the next week. This time, he asked to talk. Really talk. We sat in the conference room. He apologized. Said he'd made a mistake. That he chose wrong. That he'd realized over the years that I was the one who'd actually cared. He tried to reach for my hand. I pulled it back. He looked hurt. Like I'd rejected him. I almost laughed. "You chose what you wanted," I said. "And so did I. You wanted someone exciting. Someone who made you feel important. And I wanted someone who respected me. We both got what we wanted. You just didn't like how yours turned out." He tried to argue. Tried to say it wasn't like that. But it was. We both knew it. He left that day. And I knew it would be the last time I'd see him. At least, I hoped it would be. Tara made her final mistake 2 days later. She was sending a proposal to a potential client. It was supposed to be a clean, professional overview of our services. But she attached the wrong document. She sent them our internal financial data, confidential information, profit margins, client contracts. Everything. The client called immediately. Confused. Concerned. Legal got involved. HR got involved. I had to personally call the client and assure them the information would not be shared further. We almost got sued. When I asked Tara what happened, she said she didn't know. She said the files looked the same. She blamed the system. But I'd been using that system for years. It wasn't confusing. She'd just been careless. Again. I reported it formally. HR scheduled a final review. This time, there was no saving her. The meeting was the next morning. HR, legal, me, and Tara. They laid out the facts. The missed emails. The wrong documents. The confidential breach. She tried to spin it. Said she was set up. Said I'd been targeting her from day one. She even cried. But the evidence was clear. The audit logs. The email trails. The witness statements. Everything pointed to one conclusion. She wasn't capable of doing the job. HR looked at me. Asked if I had anything to add. I said no. I didn't need to. The facts spoke for themselves. They asked her if she had anything else to say. She didn't. They thanked her for her time. And then they fired her. On the spot. She sat there stunned. And then she stood up, grabbed her bag, and walked out. She didn't leave quietly. Before she walked out of the building, she stopped by my office. She didn't knock. She just stood in the doorway. Her eyes were red. Her hands were shaking. He still talks about you, she said. Her voice was bitter. You think you've won? I looked up from my computer. I didn't stand. I didn't move. I just looked at her. And then I laughed. Not a mean laugh. Just an honest one. This was never about him, I said. This was about me. Building a life I'm proud of. And you? You're still stuck in the past. Still blaming everyone but yourself. She didn't respond. She just turned and left. I watched her walk to the elevator. Watched the doors close. And then I went back to work. Because I had things to do. Important things. And she was no longer one of them. A month later, the CEO called me into his office. I thought maybe there was an issue with a client. Or a new project. But he smiled when I walked in. He told me to sit. He said he'd been watching my work. My leadership. The way I'd handled difficult situations with grace. He said the company needed people like me in higher positions. People who led by example. He offered me VP of Strategy. A corner office on the executive floor. A significant raise. A team of 20. I sat there, processing. A year ago, I was drowning. 3 years ago, I was crying in a parking lot. And now, I was being offered one of the top positions in the company. I accepted. Of course I accepted. And then I did something that felt even better. I promoted my old assistant. The one who'd been loyal. Who'd worked hard. Who deserved it. I brought her with me. Because that's what real leaders do. Months later, I got another text from Zach. I saw the notification pop up. I didn't even open it. I just deleted it. No anger. No curiosity. Just silence. Because in the end, I didn't just win. I rose. I built something real. Something I was proud of. And they fell. Both of them. All without me ever lowering myself to their level. I didn't sabotage Tara. I gave her a fair shot. She failed on her own. I didn't chase Zach. I let him go. And I became someone better. Someone stronger. Someone who didn't need revenge because success was sweeter than anything else could ever be. So if you're listening to this and you're in the place I was, just know this. Keep going. Keep building. Keep rising. Because the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's becoming someone they could never touch. Someone they'll never forget. Someone they'll always regret losing. And that's power. Real power. So let me ask you something. Have you ever been made to feel small by someone you once would have given everything to? If you have, you're not alone. And maybe now's the time to share your story too. Because someone out there needs to hear that we can survive betrayal. We can rebuild. And we can rise not in spite of what they did, but because of who we became afterward. Speech balloon, leave a comment. Tell me what you overcame. Or just say, I kept going. That's enough. That's everything. Because sometimes, healing starts when we stop hiding the hurt.